Let's start this session with one question. Have you ever made a financial decision and later thought, what was I thinking? Maybe you bought something at the top, maybe you sold too early, or maybe you held onto a long losing position for too long. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone because financial decisions are not just about logic. They are about psychology. And as your presentation shows from the start, this topic is really about one thing: how your mind affects your money. So, what is financial behavior? And let's start with this foundation. Financial behavior is decision making under uncertainty, and that uncertainty is important because when outcomes are unclear, your brain fills the gap, not with logic, but with emotion, perception, and past experience. So, if you think you're being rational, you're often reacting emotionally, and this is where mistakes begin. Now, let's look at the next concept, which is rational versus reality. In theory, people make logical decisions. They maximize outcomes and they stay consistent. But in reality, that is not what happens. Your decisions are influenced by how you feel, what you recently experienced, or what you believe is happening. So instead of acting logically, you react. And the market punishes reactions. So, loss aversion. This simply means that losses feels stronger than gains, and your slide shows this clearly. The red bar is larger than the green one. So it's not math, it's psychology. And losing 100% feels worse than gaining 100% feels good. And this is the this is the reason that creates problems in trading. And there are behavioral consequences as well. So first we see that if people hold positions for too long, they don't accept the loss. And secondly, we see that they take profits too early because they don't want to lock in the gain quickly. And in third, we see they distort their risk taking and they start making emotional decisions instead of structured ones. So instead of following a plan, they react to feelings. And we also have FOMO, fear of missing out. This is when you enter a decision because you see others making money and not because of your own analysis. And if you look at the visual, you see crowd are chasing a rising market. And that is exactly what happens. People follow the crowd. But what triggers fear of missing out? Here we see the all three reasons. The social proof. You see others succeeding, so you follow. Rapid price movement. Price moves fast. You feel pressure. And the media exposure. News and social media amplify everything. So all three together sums up and creates an urgency. You feel like you need to act now. And the consequences of fear of missing out. You enter late. You buy at peak prices and you take on higher risk. And instead of opportunity, you get poor timing. And this is one of the most common mistakes in markets. There's also another term called recency bias, which means that you give too much importance to recent events. If the market has been going up, you expect it to keep going up. If it has been failing, you expect it to keep failing. And you're and this, in the slide we see that the perfect demonstration where recent movement triggers the thinking. And the problem is that you ignore the bigger picture, you ignore the long-term trends, and it leads to the poor decision. And we also have cognitive load, which is the mental pressure we have. It means that the more decisions you make, the worse your decisions become because your brain has limits. You overload it and you simplify incorrectly. You rush decisions, you ignore details, and errors increase. And lastly, we have the decision fatigue, where your brain gets literally tired. Your focus drops, your discipline drops, and you start making emotional decisions again. So even if you start the day disciplined, you might end the day making poor choices. Let's bring everything together. And the financial decisions are not purely logical. They are influenced by emotion, bias, and mental limits. Loss aversion changes how you react to losses. FOMO pushes you into bad timing. Recency bias distorts your expectations, and cognitive fatigue reduces your decision quality. So the takeaway is simple. If you want better financial outcomes, you need better psychological control. Because in the end, the biggest risk in markets is not the market itself, it's how you think. Thank you for listening.